Welcome back, everyone. My name is Michelle, and this is Horror Book Hell Hound. Sit back, relax, grab a hot beverage or cold, depending on how hot it is where you're at, and let's get into this. So now that we have taken care of our introduction, you guys know what this channel is going to be about. Let's dive into what I read last month, the wonderful month of April. I actually read a lot of fucking books last month. A lot for me. I know some of you are probably going to roll your eyes and be like, poof, that's nothing. But I actually read quite a few books last month. So let's get started. I'm going to tell you a little bit about each book and try not to keep you on here forever. So first up, I managed to finally finish the Shadow and Bone trilogy with Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. And again, I have no idea if I'm saying her name right. I butcher everyone's names, even my own, so let it go. This book was actually really good. I lost a lot of faith in this trilogy during Siege and Storm because to me it was just so boring. It just was like nothing happening in that second book. It just felt like an annoying filler. Like, get back to the action. The beginning of Siege and Storm and the end of Siege and Storm were wonderful, but the meat of the book was super boring. This book, however, redeemed the trilogy and actually ended on a much lighter note than I had thought. So I am excited to keep going in the Grishaverse. I know this is not horror. I'm not going to sit here and bore you guys to death on what the Shadow and Bone trilogy is because it's just a YA fantasy. It's not horror. So moving on, I did rate this book, I want to say a 3.5 on my Goodreads. I'm not entirely sure, but I did really enjoy it. The next couple of books are actually YA horror, and I know some of you might not enjoy YA horror because it is a lot more tame than what most of us are used to. But these next couple of books I actually really did enjoy, and if you have, like, let's say a preteen or a teen who is interested in kind of getting into reading horror, these are some great places to start because they're a little bit, they're definitely creepy. There's that, you know, kind of cozy creepy factor, but it's not super disturbing. It's not super gory. It's probably not going to keep them up at night. So just FYI. The first of the YA horror novels, or novellas really, that I read in April is Horror Hotel. I just honestly bought this for that fucking cover because it's so outrageous and beautiful. And this book is by Victoria Fulton and Faith McLaren. Did I say that right? McLaren. Yeah. As you can see, this book is really short, really easy to read, very quick. Honestly, reading this book felt like I was watching a quick little episode of like Ghost Adventures or something like that. It was good though. I will say that. It was good. It was better than what I was expecting for it being YA. But it definitely was just like a cozy, creepy book. It was not super disturbing. It wasn't super scary. But like I said, you know, if you know someone who's like kind of just beginning on that journey, this would be a great place for them to start. The second YA horror novella that I read in the month of April is one of the spine shivers. It's The Grin in the Dark by J.A. Dark. Who'd have thought? Who would have thought? So yeah, I got this also for the cover just because clowns freak me out, and this cover actually freaked me out quite a lot. This is definitely YA. As you can see, the print inside of it is very large. You can read this in like maybe an hour or two, depending on how many distractions you have during your day. But yeah, this book was super easy to get through. Like I said with Horror Hotel, this book, reading it, felt like I was watching a TV show, like just a quick little episode of a TV show, but it was enjoyable for sure. So I know I'm not like diving into detail about like the premise of each one of these books, but if any of these books catch your eye specifically and you want to read my reviews on them, I do encourage you guys to go over to my Goodreads and check those out. All these books I would recommend. I will tell you point blank if I will not recommend them, and that the only way that they're not going to get recommended if they're below a 3-star, and it's really it's really hard for me to rank any book below a 3-star unless it is very offensive for some reason to me, or if it's just horribly written. So there's that. Okay, so it's not horror, but I did read the second installation of the Carpathian series by Christine Feehan, which is called Dark Desire. If you are familiar with the Carpathian series that Christine Feehan has created, they're amazing. I love them. This book was actually written back in like, what, 2018? This series is huge. As you can see, I'm starting to recollect all of mine because I used to have, I want to say 1 through 10 of the series, which now it's like triple that. But I ended up giving all of my copies away to a dear friend who honestly loved this series more than I did. So right now I'm just kind of recollecting them, getting all the nostalgia out. I'm currently on the 3rd book. I've already finished this one. But honestly, this second installment with Jacques, and I pronounce her name Shay, but it might be Shaya or something like that. These, oh, they're just so romantical, but also have that like spice, that little paranormal, supernatural spice that I'm always looking for in my romance or smut, because I can't do like normal romance. It's just bleh. But anyway, if you are into romance, paranormal romances specifically, this is a great series to take part in, just saying. So back on the horror bandwagon, I read the novella Out Behind the Barn by John Bowden and Chad Lutzk. Is it Lutzk? Is that how you pronounce it? I want to say so. Tiny little read. I favored novellas this past month. I really did. This book was disturbing. This novella was disturbing, but also in a weird way, it was melancholy. Like, there's the villain kind of a situation going on, but at the same time, not the villain. Like, you feel bad for the villain. You feel bad for like everything that's happening. It's very fucked up, very strange, very, very strange. But I did enjoy it. Definitely would recommend this one if you're into just weird types of books with very strange perspectives, because you do get a lot of different perspectives in such a short little novella, which I found to be kind of impressive, actually. For the last novella of the month of April, I chose smut, and not just any smut, demon smut. I actually don't even know if it's demon smut, to be honest. I think it's just weird kinky shit. Just weird kinky shit. And that is Satan's Affair by H.D. Carlton. Oh my god, this book is kinky. Like, way kinkier than I expected it to be. I'm not a huge fan of the reverse harem trope, but it was cool. It was cool. And honestly, there's a very unreliable narrator. Our main lady is off her fucking rocker crazy. The sex scenes were very steamy, almost a little too steamy. Like, it almost like got a little like too porn star-ish for my taste, but that's just me. If you're into that, check it out. But yeah, very strange, very strange, very strange. I enjoyed it though. It was a very interesting ride. We'll just leave it at that. And last but not least, I decided to wrap up April reading an actual book. This book. This is Theme Music by T. Marie Vandally. I don't even know if that's how you say your name, Miss Vandally, but I hope it is, because then it kind of like rhymes. Theme music. All right. And this is kind of a chunker. It's not like super crazy long or anything like that. I think it's still under 400 pages. This I would classify more as a thriller than horror. And honestly, I was a little bummed because it was introduced in my world as a horror novel. But it's definitely more of a thriller. There's very minimal supernatural. How to even go about talking about this book? Our main perspective is of a woman who, as a baby, witnessed her entire family be slaughtered, and she was raised her entire life on the assumption that everyone made that her father was the one who, massacred her entire family, but left her alive for some reason. She also assumed that her father was dead. There's a lot of assumptions that were made and enforced in her world as she grows up. But anyway, long story short, she ends up moving back into the house as an adult where the massacre took place. There's a lot of situations that are going on, but it's all from her perspective, and she is a very unreliable narrator. So you have so many fucking twists and turns in this book. I kept going just for that, because at the beginning of the book, honestly, I was not meshing with our main character. She seemed kind of a bitch, like, just being honest, she just seemed kind of a bitch. Was relatable though, was relatable. We've all been there. We've all been there. But it was very interesting, I will say that. I did enjoy the journey of this book. I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed the experience. You know, like, there's so many fucking people on booktube and book talk and bookstagram who are so, like, blinded by wanting to fit in and have popular reviews and stuff like that, that I think a lot of us are forgetting to just enjoy the experience of reading, because reading is fun. You know, like, was this book some kind of literary triumph? No, but it was interesting and it was fun and I had a good time with it. It had some flaws. There were some timeline jumps that didn't seem to mesh up with me, but then again, I'm kind of ditzy. You've probably noticed. So I probably just missed it on the first read. This is one of those that I feel like if you read it a few times, you'll grasp it a little bit better. But yeah, lots of twists and turns, very suspenseful at times, very gruesome, a lot of gore. If that's your thing, check it out. So that is it, guys. That is everything that I read for April of 2022. I know it wasn't a whole lot of horror because I have been kind of dipping off and reading fantasy and romance and smut and all the deliciousness that is that. But I am planning on diving more so back into horror. Most of the books that I have, that I own, are horror novels, and I am excited to bring you some book reviews this month. So stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed me ranting and raving about the books that I've read in a very, like, generic way, wink, wink, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, get notified, because my videos are just that awesome. Duh. Also, if you enjoyed the video even more than normal, hit that like button. It does help me out. Share the video, tag me and stuff. Follow me on Instagram and Goodreads. I will link those accounts down below. And I hope you guys are having a lovely week, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out, Hell Hounds.